Hi, I am Non-Monogamous Mark, and today I'm going to talk about 8 steps that will help you to get to the finish line of your goals faster. Stay tuned to the end when I give you an invitation to know about my nonprofit business for sexual freedom seekers. Do you ever quit before you finish because it just seems like it's taking too long to get there? You get discouraged and things like that, and you didn't absolutely have to get to the finish anyway, so why not quit? Well, as a kid, I was set up for failure, never finishing anything that I didn't absolutely have to finish. I remember being in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and all that kind of stuff, and we'd go and my mom would take me to the scouting store, and we'd buy these booklets so that I could earn awards, badges and things like that. And so we'd buy these booklets that were required for me to be able to make my progress in earning those little badges and awards. And we'd buy 4 or 5 or 6 at a time. And then I would go home with all these books. But, I didn't absolutely have to finish those awards. And I hardly ever even got started with them. I got the books, but I just never really got started with them. And then we'd go off to the store, usually about once a year, because I needed a new uniform, And then we'd go off to the scouting store and we'd get ourselves a new uniform and a few more books to earn a few more badges and awards. But again, then get home, and it wasn't something that I ever had the need to finish. I needed to finish things like my schoolwork, but Mom didn't seem to even remember that she'd gotten those books for me for year to year, and it never really helped me to learn the skill within myself to set a goal and finish a goal. And therefore I became an adult. And one of the hard things that I had to do through my 20s and 30s was to learn how to finish something. You see, on top of this, I did not learn until I was in my 50s that I have ADD. Now, I don't treat it with the drugs like they do today and stuff like that. I just through the course of my life, I didn't know that I had ADD, but and if you don't know, that's attention deficit disorder. And it's like I can have 20 different projects going at the same time and be going here and there and never finish a single one of them. And so I had to learn how to start finishing. Because if you can't finish something, then you'll never be able to succeed at things in life. So the point here that I'm trying to make is that some of us are conditioned to fail at anything we don't absolutely have to finish, or anything we don't absolutely have to do. And unless we change, we'll never succeed at increasing our abundance, our liberation, and the freedom in our finances, our health, and our sex lives. Well, the good news is that change is much easier than most of us make it, and today I'm going to give you 8 steps for making changes that will help you finish faster and easier. Now, I learned these steps from going to the grocery store, believe it or not, because I never had a problem going to the grocery store, finishing, and getting the things at the store that I wanted. Never seemed to be a problem. And so I dissected the success of getting to the store to have the things that I want, and I learned from that these 8 easy steps to finish faster. And now I want to share those with you. So follow along with me as I use the example of going to the store to illustrate these 8 steps. Now, the first step is to be clear about knowing where you are going. Now, really, this seems simple enough, but can you imagine getting in the car and you want to go to the store, but you never really get clear about what store? Are you going to go to a clothing store? You're going to go to a grocery store? You're going to go to a vitamin store? What store are you going to go to? And then when you figure out the type of store that you want to go to, then you have to really set in your thinking. Okay, I want to go to that specific store. So you want to get clear and get specific so that you know where you are going. If you can't be clear and specific about knowing where you're going to go, then you're going to get in the car and just drive around aimlessly. And driving around aimlessly, who knows where you'll end up? Oh, wait a minute. It seems to me that's how we live our lives sometime, isn't it? Yeah, well, I hope then that you'll listen to these 8 steps and learn a few things as we go along here today. So step 1 then is to be clear and specific about knowing where you are going. Step 2 is that it helps to write down exactly what you want. You know, people think, well, I'll just hold it up here in my head. But I found myself, just like having that grocery list, going to the grocery store. You know, by having that grocery list, I was able to go to the grocery store and then really hone in on the specific items that I wanted to have at the grocery store. And then oftentimes that would also help me to not get distracted. And so for me, having ADD, getting distracted is an easy thing to do. And so take a moment and just write down exactly what it is that you want. You know, out there at the grocery store, when you get there, there are literally thousands of items. You're not there to buy every single item. You only want the items, you're there to buy the items that you really want. Not the items that you want 5 months from now, but the items that you want now. That's what you're there for. And so, if you write down and get real specific about what you're going to the store for and what you're there to get, then that'll increase the speed at which you're able to get to the finish line. Because when you go to the store, do you aimlessly then wander around that store, you know, taking things off the shelf and looking at them, you know, You know, if you have that list that is clear and specific, you know, you can get in the store, get those items, and get out of the store. You don't have to just go lollygagging along through the store. You know, in fact, that old song that Tiny Tim sang, you know, tiptoe through the tulips. You know, that's not what you're there at the store for. So get there as quickly as you can and get the job done. And the thing that will help you to do that with your goals and anything you want to accomplish in your life is to write down exactly what you want. And that is step 2. Step 3 is to set a reasonable deadline, allowing yourself a little extra time. You know, generally when I'm at the house and I take a look, you know, do I have time? I look at what time it is. Do I have time to go to the store? If I don't have time, then I'm not going to get started until I have time. And then once I do have time, then, because I'm the kind of person that I like to get as much as I possibly can get done in every single day. And so, you know, I don't want to just get in my car and drive around, you know, and just endlessly drive around. I want to get to that store. I want to go in that store. I want to get the things that I want. And then I want to get home. So generally when I go to the store, I kind of estimate, well, you know, I think I'll be able to be back home or back off to my next activity or event. And my stop at the store is going to take me this amount of time. And so in getting to the finish line of your goals faster is also the same step here. As all you need to do is to set a reasonable deadline, allowing yourself a little extra time. You know, a little extra time really is helpful because then you're not going to disappoint yourself. That was a problem that I had for some time, is that I didn't ever allow enough extra time, the things I was involved in doing, and you know, I just always felt like that there was just never enough time. And when you always feel like there's never enough time, you know, you get to the end of the day every day and you feel like, I just didn't get very much done. I just didn't get enough done. And that's a scarcity model of thinking, and that's a failure model of thinking. Instead of thinking like, yes, I have an abundance of time. I have plenty of time to do the things that are important for me to get done. And that keeps you moving forward and succeeding, rather than coming to a place where you just think, it doesn't matter, and you stop. And so set a reasonable deadline that allows yourself a little extra time to get there. Now, step 4 is to stay focused. And with me, with my ADD, this is particularly important. But, most of the people around me in my life don't have ADD, and yet it's something that's just as vital of a step for them. And that it's really easy in this world that we live in today, where we're bombarded with all kinds of people and distractions and things, on the internet. Can you go on the internet, say you're going to go on Facebook for just 10 minutes because you want to check your messages? Can you go there without getting distracted and then end up there for a half hour or longer? And so there's so many ways today, so many things that come along to take our focus off of that goal that we're looking to finish, because that's what we want. Is we want to finish that goal. We want to get to the finish line. And so to get to the finish line, you have to stay focused. Any athlete will tell you that to get to the finish line, you have to stay focused. And that's step 4. Step 5, we kind of just mentioned, a little jump the gun a little bit on that, but step 5 is to avoid distractions. Distractions, you can be focused, and then suddenly a distraction comes along, and whoop! In fact, I have a friend in Canada that says that's he calls it. He says, "Yep, squirrel, oh, squirrel." And just he has ADD like I do, and he can be going along, and then suddenly squirrel, and maybe it's a cat, whatever it is. But there are distractions all around us. And so you want to avoid those distractions. And even myself, that's a daily battle. It's a battle that I don't always win. But the thing is that with any of these steps, when you don't accomplish that step, no problem, no big deal. It just means that you get back on the horse and you start over again. Or you get back on the horse and keep going forward. And so that you want to avoid as many distractions as you can. And one of the things that's been helpful for me is in just forming habits in my life where I am structured with the things that I do on a daily basis, so that I am continuing to stay focused and move forward. And when a distractions will come along, then I just really don't allow them in. And my partners will tell you that, because they'll come home, from being at work all day, since I work at home, and they'll be at work or be out all during the day and what have you. And they'll come home and not think about the fact that I am really focused on the work at that moment. And they'll come along and they'll just, "Hi, how was your day?" Want to start chatting and talking, And both pretty well have learned, though, that I don't want to be rude to them, but I'm pretty much going to chat and minimize the amount of conversation that goes on between us, because I don't want them to become my distraction. And so they pretty well understand that now. So that's step 5, is to avoid distractions. Step number 6 is to keep your energy positive. Keep your energy positive, because sometimes you're going along. For instance, where I'm going to the store, that means that I'm going to be in my car. There may be traffic along the way. And so with the traffic that's going to be along the way, there may be someone that I just want to take and call them a jerk, or flip them the bird, or scream something out at them, or something like that, But that's not going to help me to get to my goal, to get to the finish line any faster. In fact, that can become then one of those distractions. So I have learned that it just really helps to keep my energy positive all the time. And my energy, what I mean by that, it's my words, my thoughts, and my feelings. And so I like to keep those in harmonic balance. I've made videos on this. When those 3 things, those are your energies, your words, your thoughts, and your feelings. And when you keep those 3 in harmonic balance, then you're able to take and move in the direction that you want to go the fastest you can go. But when your energy is out of balance, maybe that your thoughts are about on where you're going to, or where you're headed, but your emotions and your words, maybe you've been in an argument with someone and you're carrying those emotions then into the car with you as you go to the store, and your words are kind of grumbling, and you're just in that kind of mood, even though your thoughts are positive about where you want to go, but you're not in a harmonic balance. And so chances are you're not going to get to the finish line as easily and as quickly as you could. So step number 6 is to keep your energy positive. You know, when you go to the grocery store, you know, I don't look to get everything that's there and put it all in my cart. There's only some of the things that I want. Now I eat a plant-based diet, and I eat organic food, and so I'm going to go to the vegetable section of the grocery store. And I'm going to then be looking at the organic vegetables. And when I do that, you know, it doesn't bother me that somebody else is there buying meat. What do I care what they eat? You know, I'm not here to save the world. I'm here to save myself and feed myself. And so I don't really care what they eat. You know, I mean, yes, I'd rather people maybe had a healthier diet, but I can't do anything about what those other people are going to do. All I can do is about what I can do for me. And so I keep my energy positive by really staying focused, one of the earlier steps, staying focused on the things that I want and not worry about the things that I don't want. You know, and how that plays out in our life. As an example of this, this morning, my partner Kat and I were laying in bed listening to a motivational call that I listen to many mornings of the week, and it's a morning wake-up call. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's only about 15 minutes long. And the particular person that was given the wake-up call this morning, well, Kat, for some reason, just didn't like that person's, you know, he talked about some religious stuff, you know, God and monogamous marriage and stuff like that, and that just kind of set Kat off. And so I explained to her, you know, there were some other really great things that he said in his message. And so it's like going to that grocery store. You know, if I go over there to the vegetables and maybe I want some celery, well, guess what? They've got celery that's not organic. That means there's pesticides and chemicals and stuff sprayed on it that I don't want. And it's raised in dead dirt. I don't want to eat anything that's raised in dead dirt. And so I want to go over and find the organic celery. And I ignore the non-organic celery and all the other things in the grocery store that I don't want. I just don't want to let those things impact me or affect me. I keep my energy positive. And so I use the grocery store technique when I am doing anything else in life, where I apply the process where I take and pick out and apply to my life the things that are useful and helpful to my life. I don't put anybody else down for the fact that they're not eating something that's organic or that they're not eating a healthier diet. You know, that's fine. They can do all those things. And I keep my energy positive. That's step number 6. Step number 7, keep from going backwards. You know, it seems like it would be fairly common sense, really, but how often do we get in the car of life and head on down the road and then suddenly come to a stop and we put things in reverse and we go backwards? You know, it's bad enough that we're just buzzing around and around and around in circles, but then sometimes we actually put it in reverse and go backwards. We make those choices in our life because we get to design and create the lives that we want. Now, if you're living a life that's not intentional, if you are living a life that just kind of on autopilot, or a life by default, or a life where the other people are always the ones that are telling you how to do things and what to do, and you're not really living your own life and you're not living an intentional life, then you come to a stop and you go backwards, and it just doesn't seem like such a big deal. But if you're living that intentional life, you know, and maybe you have to go off to a job where there's somebody else that's taking 10 or 12 hours a day of your life, and you've got responsibilities to your family and things of that nature. But so what it comes down to is maybe you only have 1 or 2 days a week, or you only got a couple of hours a day, 1 or 2 hours a day, where you get to be very intentional about your life. And with that time then, You want to keep your life moving forward, not backwards. So why get caught up in doing things that's not going to keep your life moving forward? That's going to have your life going in reverse instead of going forward. You know, we've all been there, and we've all done that, where we just get caught up in things that seems like then that we just end up going backwards. So in applying all 8 of these steps, you can't just apply a few of them, but applying all 8 of these steps are what is necessary for you to get to the finish line the fastest way possible. So step 7 again then is to keep from going backwards. Step number 8 is simply finish. Don't quit because it's taking too long, or you get hung up by traffic jams and detours and roadblocks along the way. Sure, believe me, there's going to be traffic jams. There's going to be detours. There's going to be roadblocks, and there's going to be other people out there that all kinds of things. Maybe a storm comes along and knocks trees down and power lines down. There's all kinds of things that'll come along, that'll happen. But yet you still want to get to the finish line, and use all 8 of these steps in helping you to get to the finish line as quickly and easily as possible. And use those steps to get to the finish line, and don't quit. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. I remember years ago in my beverage business, I had a goal of making $10,000 a month. And guess what? That goal didn't happen the first time I said it. It didn't happen the second time I said it. It didn't happen the third time I said it. But I just kept setting that goal, and I kept working on getting to the finish line. I could have given up on the goal. I was making okay money. I didn't have to finish. I was making a living. I didn't have to finish. I was comfortable. I was enjoying a lot of the things in my life. I didn't have to finish and get to the finish line of my goal of making $10,000 a month. But that went back to what I learned back with my parents, is that, yeah, there are a lot of things in my life that I don't have to do. But I need to make it a habit to finish the things that I get started in. And so I actually started to do that. And here, step 8 then is simply to finish and don't quit. Yes, there are things sometimes that come along, that you end up changing direction and changing course, and that's okay. As long as your long-term, your long-range thinking keeps you on course for where you want to go. And even if your long-term thinking then ends up making a change, then just keep moving forward. Don't go backwards, and don't let distractions come along, and stay focused and just keep moving forward. But what I've found is that any time something that comes along where it has kind of just shifted me to a different path, it's not where I have to start over at all. When I shift to a different path, I've been able to use all the accumulation of things, of experiences and knowledge and things in my life that has gotten me to that point in my life to move me forward in my new path, in my new journey. And so I hope that you'll find that to be the same thing. Now, yes, I leave a lot of things that are baggage behind me. I don't drag with me and move forward with all that negative junk and baggage. But again, these 8 steps, one of those steps about positive. And so I don't drag the past with me and all that baggage. I keep moving forward with positive energy, and I move to the finish line. And I finish. I don't quit. If I get discouraged, then next day is a new day. And I wake up the next day, and I hit the start over button, and I get a good running start on the next day. Like I mentioned, there's going to be traffic jams and detours and roadblocks along the way. What your traffic jams are, and what your detours are, and what your roadblocks are, I don't know. They're different for all of us. But those traffic jams and those detours and those roadblocks, I have learned, are some of the really good parts of life, because they help to prepare us remember, it's not where we're going really. It's the journey of who we become along the way. And it's those traffic jams and those detours and roadblocks that we encounter along the way that really bring out in us the best part of us. And so don't let those traffic jams, those detours, those roadblocks, discouragements, don't let those cause you to ever quit. Get to the finish line. So to recap the 8 steps, step number 1 is to be clear and specific about knowing where you are going. Step number 2 is to write down exactly what it is that you want. Step number 3 is to get a reasonable deadline, allowing yourself a little extra time. Set that deadline and allow yourself a little extra time. Step number 4 is to stay focused. Number 5, avoid the distractions. Number 6 is to keep your energy positive. Number 7, keep from going backwards. And number 8, finish. Be committed to finishing. Doesn't matter how long it takes you to finish. What you start, either change and shifts to a different track that keeps you moving forward, or finish what you start. So these 8 steps are easy, and they'll keep you moving forward towards your goal. Making a habit of these 8 steps will keep you from getting stuck again and again, over and over, in any area of your life. They're also easy, though, not to do. Most of us get into a habit of not following these 8 steps precisely. You may be overcomplicating things, making it much more difficult and challenging to reach your goals because you get off track. But to help you to keep from resorting back to a pattern of living on your default habits and creating this new habit of following these 8 steps, I have a sheet that I'll send to you, and I can print it, and you can print it out, helping you to remind you to stay on track with the 8 steps. I'll tell you more about that, getting that sheet in a moment. But first, let me tell you a little bit about my nonprofit business for sexual freedom seekers. Now, my nonprofit association that is starting this sexual freedom seekers movement is the Non-Monogamous Lifestyles Association. 3 of the main things that we do is that I stretch and exercise your mental muscles so you can increase your abundance, your liberation, and your freedom in your finances, in your health, and in your sex life. I help you get on track, stay on track, or get on a better track to living a life at your highest level possible for you in your finances, your health, and your sex life. I provide you with education, information, tools, support, and opportunities to live your life on a journey being the best version of you possible, financially, with your health, and also sexually. So to get the free poster sheet that I'll email to you that you can print out, is helping and reminding you to stay on track and make it a habit of using these 8 steps. Go ahead and click on that link below to get on our email list. That's the first thing for you to do then. And then once you get on our email list, then I'll send you an email, but it's going to ask you to confirm that you want to be on that list and get emails from me. So open that email up and confirm that you do want to be on the list and get emails from me. And then I'll send you an email a day for the next 7 days. And this sheet will be one of those 7 emails. The 8 steps that you can print out and you can help to have in front of you, creating the habits for you to reach the finish line the easiest and fastest way possible. So get that sheet by getting on our email list. You can always get off the list, but get that sheet. You'll get an email a day from me for 7 days, and the sheet will be one of those 7 emails. I'm not telling you which one, but it'll be one of those 7 emails. And so as you get them over the next 7 days, it's just to help you to get a chance to get to know Non-Monogamous Lifestyles Association and to get to know me, Non-Monogamous Mark, and so that you can know what our association is about and you can know what I'm about. So thanks a lot for your attention today, and have yourself a really great day.